Those damn Tusken Raiders really are the worst. Hello, everyone. Terrence with Hollywood already did it. If you haven't already, go ahead, like, share, subscribe to the channel, ring that bell below. Anytime we have something, you will be among the first to know. It's finally here. We finally get to inject some of that new Star Wars live-action television series into our veins with the Book of Boba Fett. I've always had an interesting love-hate with Boba Fett. So I'm going to go in with that so you guys can know where I'm standing. I always thought he was one of the coolest looking characters on the planet. But I also thought he was one of the short-lived and most underutilized until we got the prequel series, which I then think gave too much backstory. So now I'm in this weird thing where I was like, oh, the cool character that everyone loved to look so shiny and new. You start demasking and started giving too much information, you sort of lose that sheen. And I feel like this series is going to do even more of that. But here we are. It's Star Wars. Let's get into it. I think there is nothing better to start this series than to tie up some loose ends and show us how Boba Fett got out of that Starlight pit from Jedi. Never thought I'd see the inside of a Starlight pit, but here we are. It's the same way I never thought I'd be inside or around or rolling in a sandcrawler from Mandalorian. We're getting a lot of the pieces of the world that we've sort of put in our heads, now made into reality and sort of becoming canon. Then we see the Jawas and the Tusken Raiders basically do a 1-2 combo on Boba and steal all of his gear and then capture him and enslave him. Again, a lot of these things that are happening have always been theorized and are now coming to fruition. I don't know how I feel about everything that was sort of fan fiction being put into real life, but sure, fine. We then come to present day, which is sort of where the episode picks up for me. We see that Boba's in a chamber, sort of recollecting his energy, resting. That's the way that he sort of recovers, and that is where these dreams and flashbacks are sort of coming from. We see that his number two is back in Finnick, and she's waking him up to say, "Hey, we got to start our first day as the new Daimo, basically the head of this table, if you will, on Tatooine." He's basically replacing Jabba the Hutt's old gangster job where he rules everything. Jabba ruled in fear. Everything that he did within fear. Boba's thinking he's going to do his via respect. And that's sort of where I think the season as a whole is going to sort of get its arc and its stories, that he's going to have to learn that he may have to do some things a little bit dirtier than normal. But he is choosing out the gate to be a little bit more respectful in the way that he handles and the world and the people here who have always been under the thumb of Jabba now see a little bit of an opening. So there's going to be some people coming in, coming out to sort of challenge that new way of thinking and respect. You're going to have some that automatically fall in line. You're going to have a couple that are like, yeah, I don't know about that. And one of the Twi'leks show up to sort of test that based on the mayor that of a town. It kind of sort of gives him that, yeah, she should be paying us type of thing, which he never would have shown that type of disrespect to Jabba. We get a brief look at the Cantina Band playing a new number. It's good to see they still out here making that great music. And then we get our first look at the amazingly beautiful Jennifer Beals as another Twi'lek, Madame Garza. Brief interaction. You can tell that there's some type of chemistry or some type of past or history with Boba and them, but not too much is seen in this particular episode for that. As they leave the bar, they're attacked by some assassins who are trying to do them in. Again, anytime some people start seeing sort of a bit of an opening in the power structure, they're going to attempt their way to try to take it. And so a pretty cool action sequence over rooftops and whatnot occurs. It's pretty fun. It's pretty entertaining. I will say though that this is one of the first Star Wars live action episodes or series that I don't feel like I'm actually on a planet. We're actually immersed in the world. This looks very much like we're on a soundstage or that thimble that they've sort of created. That world that they sort of created. It feels very staged, which is the first time that's ever happened. And I don't know if that's a matter of using practical effects with digital. This is the first time where I noticed, like, hey, this doesn't feel right. This feels very trapped. And then we go back into the past, which for me, I don't need this. But we go back in the past and we see Boba still captured and enslaved, going through the desert, and stopping for the Tusken Raiders to sort of dig water. Like that's his goal. That's his job. Being enslaved, just like you're going to be the person that provides water for us. In doing so, a creature that does not have a name, but I'm sure will once Twitter gets a hold of it in the next 48 hours. That looks amazing. It's sort of stop motion, clay motion. It looks very practical. I like that they didn't super CGI it. It looks freaky. The way that it moves, it walks. It's pretty cool looking. But it's a moment that does not have any stakes because we know that Boba is fine in the present day. This is a lot of the issues that happen with when you deal with characters that exist and do prequels to those characters that exist. I don't care that much about that point in time. I'd rather see what's happening in the present. But it feels like this series is doing its most to sort of tie in loose ends and get you caught up. For me, I would rather just say, hey, this is how you got out of the Sarlacc pit, deal with it, and then just move on and put us all in the present day. I think that's far more entertaining than spending so much time in the past. But Boba Fett defeats the creature, and the Tusken Raider that is there with him takes them all back and tells this village of the story of the legacy of Boba Fett and how he saved them. And a show of respect, the leader of the Tusken Raiders sort of offers some water, and he drinks it. And it's sort of the way that Boba Fett wants to rule in present day on Tatooine is the way that he sort of got the respect of the Tusken Raiders there. He wants to do that as he rules as the Daimyo. We'll see if that works out. You know, I like the concept of dealing with how the power dynamic works in present day and how Fennec and Boba try to obtain that on Tatooine. It is interesting, however, if in an episode that is only 39 minutes, we spend half of that dealing with the past. If that is going to continue to be the norm, then I may check out of these episodes a lot sooner than later. I think this is a decent start to a series. It does not wow me or have that entertaining or engaging factor that Mandalorian did at the very first beginning of their seasons. Mainly because it's a new character that I had no information or no knowledge about, so I got to see them sort of work their way through stuff. Boba Fett has a sort of a set legacy and a set history and stuff that they feel that they need to tell us all. I don't need every piece of his past. Once you get him to being back out of the Sarlacc pit, I'm off and running. We can do whatever we want to in present day, and I'll just buy that he made it through. So I'm hoping that future episodes dish the flashback aspect and give us more of what's happening currently for Boba, as I would love the stakes to be higher for this series, and I don't get that when you deal with anything that exists from a world where we know he's gonna be alright. He can be alright. All in all, a middle of the road episode. This isn't one that's gonna blow my socks off, but I am interested to hear what you guys think about the first episode of the Book of Boba Fett. Go ahead and your thoughts and comments in the comments below. If you haven't already, you can follow us on Twitter at HollywoodADI. You can hit us up with an email at HollywoodAlreadyDidIt@gmail.com. We also have a podcast by the same name that's on Google Podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, any other place podcasts. We're there. And like always, I got my ticket. You got yours.